दी इमेज स्टार के दर्शकों को प्यार भरी नमस्कार।
Right, so I'm just going to say a few things about these enhancements that we've just done on TOEFL, and then make a few more comments, and then open it up to questions. First thing I want to emphasize is that we have done enhancements to TOEFL before. It's been our tradition to continuously look at the feedback that we get on the test as to what our test takers or what the universities, institutions are telling us, and all kinds of our partners. I'm happy to say that these enhancements have been based on all the feedback that we've been receiving over the last few years. So just go through them. The first one is that it's going to be a much shorter test. So whereas in the past it was plus 3 hours, it's now going to be a test under 2 hours. Okay. So how have we done this? We have looked at some of the navigation as the students start the test to go through the different sections. We have enhanced those navigations, so it's now taking less time for students to go through that. We have shortened the reading section of the test, so that has helped. We have also made improvements to the writing section of the test. We've made it more modern, more applicable to what the students are going through in their programs as they start the as they actually go into the university and engage.
Then go for IELTS because of the reason that IELTS is more prominent. Few students know about the TOEFL and GRE. How would you tell them actually in our time actually when we were doing the graduation? Then it was
Yes, absolutely. Well, okay, so first of all, what I want to say is that TOEFL is still the most accepted, the most recognized test of English for proficiency worldwide. We have 11,500 institutions worldwide accepting TOEFL. That's in more than 160 countries. But what has also happened over the years is that maybe IELTS has got some additional recognition. So what we're doing right now, in particular with our folks in ETS India, is to make sure that we raise the awareness that basically if you want to go to US, to Canada, to Australia, to UK, almost 100% of the universities in all these countries, including the very top ones. So for example, the Russell Group in the UK, they all accept TOEFL. In fact, 9 out of 10 universities in the US prefer you to have a TOEFL test score versus some of the competitive scores. So we're working on it. We're going to increase the awareness and continue to put that message out there that you can take our test and it puts you in a really good spot.
What is the reason behind cutting down the time from 3 hours to 2 hours? Because honestly, since we are born and brought up here, so we are conditioned in a way that if you are giving an exam and if you spend all the more time on the exam, right, you are a good student. So from cutting down to 3 to 2 hours, I don't know, how is it?
Well, I have to say that the trend that you're going to see for very reliable tests is that it's going to get shorter. Okay, it doesn't necessarily mean that the quality of this test, or because we have a lot of scientists at ETS who, we don't take these decisions lightly. It's not just a matter of let's reduce the test length, but it is also sometimes frustrating, kind of like even maybe scary to some extent for people to sit through these long tests. So the shorter the test is, in some cases, it makes them feel more comfortable. The test is not coming across as as a huge task now that they need to do. But the scores are as reliable as before. We haven't changed the score scale. But we've done this again. We're doing a lot of analysis to make sure, for example, that the writing section is now more indicative of what the student is going to get once they get to the university. Okay, and a number of, as I mentioned, a number of enhancements we have made is basically cutting some of the things that maybe weren't necessary there. easier way to go through the process of the test. Okay, it's not taking any of the content out. All right, and or the sections of the test. There are some questions in there that were unscored, so we've taken those questions out. Okay, so there's a number of factors like that, along with modernizing the test, making sure it's more applicable to today's environment.
Mr. Jan, would you like to?
So as far as TOEFL is concerned, there is no any program which is approved by a university outside, be it in US, UK, any destination market. TOEFL, as Mohammad mentioned, 11,500 universities, virtually every university on this planet Earth accepts TOEFL as a score. So there is no distinction between a commerce program versus a management program versus a science program.
Is it a tougher test than IELTS?
It is not. It is not. It is not. It is a very focused test, and what Mohammad also mentioned to ma'am's point is that we have made it really as per the learner requirements, as per what is really need to be tested. So it's I would say it tests what is required to be tested. I won't say that it is as per the requirements of what a university wants from its students in terms of their skills in English. Right? At the end of the day, what is this test for? This is a test for English skills, that when a student goes to a foreign university, he or she is able to cope up with the coursework. Now think of a situation where the test may be easy to do in India, but that student struggles when he or she spends lakhs of rupees going off to a foreign university and not able to move from one semester to another. Which one is better? It's better to do that training, do that skill enhancement here before you move to that foreign university.
And I think comparing the two is very subjective. I think it depends from person to person, and it also depends from university to university. Might one of the university wants me to clear IELTS and the other one wants me to clear TOEFL, so I think that's pretty subjective.
Yeah, I mean, actually, most universities at this point, because between IELTS and TOEFL, they're comparable tests. So most universities accept them both, and it is really a matter of, like a number of universities actually, when we talk to them, they say they would prefer to see a TOEFL score, to the points that Sachin was just making, because it is a better sense of, it gives you a better sense of your English proficiency. It's the best test for assessing your English proficiency in a purely academic environment.
Year score. So you have 2 years.
Yeah, you can apply within 2 years, and your score is valid. And GRE, I think, is 5 years.
How much score is required?
How much score is valid?
See, the score depends upon the university.
I mean, minimum you might have heard of. Like we have heard of
band,
6
band
bands.
should be 6 at least, To
So just to get the bad test, for example, there is on the CFR level you have.
Can you be louder, please?
On the CFR level, you have A1, A2, B1, B2, C1 and C2, right? For an academic reason, it's mostly between B1 and B2. All the scores of TOEFL and other competition align to the CFR level. So it's basically on the CFR requirement. That's the common European framework of reference for languages. All these scores need to be aligned to a CFR. So CFR normally for an Indian student, for an academic reason, it's between B1 and B2. And if the higher the institutions, for example, if you look at Russell Group institutions, if you look at the Harvards and so on, it might be a C1 or a C2. So we map the scores accordingly to those CFR.
Let's come to the fee. Is it like much higher than IELTS, or is it like equally, comparable? What is the fees for giving this exam, TOEFL and GRE?
There has been some studies on both sides, and what we believe is that sometimes the way the score tables are mapped, the TOEFL scores are mapped to a lower range or higher range of IELTS scores. In other words, if, like, for example, you're getting a certain TOEFL score, it may show that you're actually compare that to IELTS, and the way IELTS has mapped itself to CFR versus TOEFL has mapped itself to CFR. There are questions in terms of those mappings.